Good morning, team.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so I want to meet for a few minutes to talk about and kind of talk about our data from this year and do some reflections. We had a lot of success this year. So if you look at the agenda, we're going to start with our celebrations, our glows, our glows. So I'll start off. This was our first year working together as a team. It's in a new position in HISD, and I feel like we did a very good job. I feel like we worked well together as a group, and it showed in most of our test scores, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
One of the things is, as a new position, I feel like we implemented a lot of strategies that were taught to us very well, that we showed it to our teachers, and then that implemented also in the classroom, that also improved the schools.
Right.
Definitely, in this new role, we were able to coach the teachers who had most of our EB students, and they were in the Newcomer Academy, but now they were mainstream, so we were able to support the teachers, and at some point of time, I would say the students also.
Right, yeah. And that was my favorite part about this role, was actually working with teachers and coaching them on specific sheltered instruction strategies. Really like that. So I wanted to just kind of dig into a data talk, because we had some good data, but I also want to talk about some areas that we can grow into.
Okay.
I do want to start with NWEA. So as you know, we had some really good data with NWEA, right? But I want to share something with you, and I was looking at the data a little deeper, and you can actually filter the NWEA by EB students.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So when you filter by EB students, let me share that data with you. So, and this is with the EL filter.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can share this report with y'all too.
Okay.
But for all grades, and this is all the EL students, 286 in the whole school, grades 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
So out of 286 students, the growth was 64 percentile in growth.
Oh, nice.
Overall,
So we were above
exactly.
55.
From the winter to the spring, the achievement went from 15th percentile to 24th percentile.
Okay.
So there was some growth there. And this is just the EL students.
Yeah.
Just the EL. Now in 6th grade, the overall growth was 64 percentile. The achievement went from 14th to 22nd.
Nice.
7th grade was 75th percentile.
Oh, nice.
The achievement went from 11th to 22nd, so it doubles.
Right.
Yes. And then 8th grade was in the 62nd percentile,
Okay.
from 27th to 30th percentile.
Very
So
good.
growth on all three grades.
On all 3 grade levels.
And then we were above the district requirement, which was 55,
55, exactly.
Right.
So it's like, this is our EL students. So that's a good reason to celebrate, yes.
I love
Yes.
that.
Yes. So what do you think worked? That's something we continue next year that worked.
Is this for all?
All the EBs in that grade level.
But what content is this?
I'm sorry, reading language arts.
Reading language arts.
Reading
And I
language
think
arts.
reading worked really well because our students were pushed a lot in reading by their appraiser, by us. We were constantly in their classrooms. The teachers were very receptive to our coaching, to our feedback. So whatever we asked to be implemented, they did it. And they did it with fidelity, they did it constantly. And they built a routine with the students, which I like, and we saw constantly in the classrooms.
Exactly.
Besides that, we had one cohort mainly concentrated with our EV students so that the teacher can break it down very well for those students and work with those EV students in this, and just spreading them everywhere, and they were lost in tier 1 instruction. Whereas keeping in one cohort, it helped. That's what I think.
Yes.
It helped them a lot.
Right, exactly. I think that helped a lot too. One thing that I really find, like I said, I like working with the teachers one-on-one. And I like what you said about them implementing what we said. You know, it wasn't a lot of pushback. You know, there may have been some questions about some things, but when they tried it for themselves and they actually implement it, say, okay, this actually does work. So everyone's willing the coaching, I guess, being willing to coach and accept and take feedback and implement that feedback.
Yes.
And then also, you know, we got to actually work with students one-on-one too. You know, when
That's
we
true.
pull those pull-outs, that
Pull-outs
helped.
work.
That pull-out
Yes.
helped. Yes. Then of course, in our STAR data, we saw that our STAR data.
And STAR as well. So there was growth in NWA and there was
NWA
growth
and
in
STAR.
STAR.
Yes. So now, so we did see growth in all 3 areas on the STAR.
Right. Yes.
But let's go to the ELD survey that was done by the district.
Oh,
let's talk about
yes.
that. 'Cause I think this directly impacts our job right here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you look at it, were you in that meeting, Mr. Corral?
Was it the last one that we had?
Last one that we had.
Yes.
Okay.
Where they did
Yes.
the celebrations?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. And congratulations, Mr. Darwall.
Thank
for-
you so
Yeah.
much.
Take it
Thank you. Well, we are a team now. Yes.
No, congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
But if you look at the waivers and exceptions, the goal was 25%, and what did we get?
20%.
20%.
And this is district-wide, so we're actually looking at campus. That's okay right there. Thank you, Mr. Wong. Professional development, keep in mind that we're the dark colored.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and the LCDs are the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, so like we met our goal there, 87%, that's pretty high.
That's fine.
Mhm. These are the PDs.
For
PDs.
PDs, these are PDs. And I guess that'll be the documentation that we submitted, right?
Yes.
That, but 4 overall for the year.
But we did more than 4.
Mm-hmm.
On our
yeah.
campus,
So we
yes.
surpassed it. Of course, the surveys were done. 75% of our surveys were done. The goal was 80%. So we fell a little bit short there, but
Right.
close, very close. I remember in the meeting they said that 700. It was still really high.
Mm-hmm.
Still really high. Summit K-12. This is an area of growth.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe next year they have a plan for it.
Yes,
Okay.
they do.
Next year they have more. I think they're gonna do more case summit in the classrooms because they see
I
that there's a
think
need
they're doing
for it.
an elective. They're
And I-
keeping Summit K-12 as one of the electives,
Mhm.
and EV students would have that elective. So it will be done on the daily basis.
Okay, yeah, so that's going to increase the usage, yeah. Because I
Yes.
remember during the year we had to stop doing Summit K-12
Mhm.
and focus on ZERN because that was low. So, and I think that may have affected our TOPAS data.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes. And then, of course, we see the MAP growth, which is
It surpassed
that
our-
surpassed our MAP growth.
Oh yes.
Especially when you break it
18%.
down by EL students.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. So overall, good job.
We did.
Yeah.
As first year COD.
As first year ELDs, yeah.
Right.
Only room for improvement from here on out, right? So let's talk about next year. So, because being a new position, there's some growth that we came across too.
Mm-hmm.
So, what were some things that we feel like we can adjust for next year, to, especially on those TOPAS scores? Because the growth wasn't, even though we had 30 kids exit the program, the growth still wasn't where we wanted it to be. So, how can we be more intentional with that planning for next year?
I think with the use of the elective teacher being active constantly every day,
Can you come to my office, please?
putting the students, the ED students, I think that's going to push our growth as well. The usage of Case Summit, the constant practicing also in all content areas across content, strategies that they can use, that we can implement. So we can use like NSV, race 1 to, no, it's Q1 to 3, 4,
Q1,
5.
1, 2, 5.
3, 4, 5. Yes, that training.
Just different strategies that we can implement. I know right now we're doing QSSA, and we started that maybe in the second semester.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if we started that
yeah.
in the beginning, we could have hit it harder.
Oh yeah.
So they could have done more speaking, more thinking, more writing, you know, more listening.
Right, which is the indicators in TELPAS, right? So we hit the ground running with that, and getting it. I don't know if we did. I don't know if we did it this year. Did ELDs have pre-service?
Yes,
We
we
did have
did.
free
We did.
services.
Okay, we did.
And they didn't discuss too much, and I
No.
think that it was the thing, because it was such a new role. There was
Right.
still a lot of things in the works, but now that we understand the role and we know what our goal is, now we know what to do.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that we need to focus on too is technology, because technology is used a lot in the classrooms. Have a plan for technology for next year.
Exactly.
We're not having not all students, not EBs, not all EBs use technology, just the ones that actually need it.
Yeah, to
like
be-
the beginner students or the newcomer
Right. Or
students.
the newcomers. It's just being more intentional, right, with that technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to TELPAS, the thing is the test has changed over the years. And the kids, some of them have a good speaking skill, listening skills, but they need to be taught how to answer the question on the test. So the test is very strategic. So they need to learn how to answer the questions on the test. That's one of the most important things. I think our students were right here, but they didn't do well on the test, so they were right here. They have shown the growth to me. As an ESL person, ELD person,
Yeah.
I know that I've seen the growth, but it needs to be done.
Right.
So we need more pull-outs. We need more time for the pull-out programs. And if the homeroom teacher is doing, they need to do it on regular basis. Second thing, that most of the trainings, the good trainings we were provided by multilingual department, they provided at the end of the year. And we can implement that at the beginning of the year. Like they talked about the background knowledge.
Yes.
They talked about the TRTW.
Yeah.
That's a good strategy
Oh, that
too.
is a good strategy.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that needs to be started on the first day.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
So I think with incorporating those strategies, we'll be able to do much better.
Right. You know, it's the same. It's like if you know better, you're going to do better. I
Right.
feel like now that we have these tools in our toolkit, we can
Yes.
start implementing this early in the year and not waiting until the second semester to start doing
Yes.
stuff.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of power in that. Yes. And I like that we're getting an ESL elective.
Elective.
Yeah.
Summit elective.
Summit elective. Yeah. The principal talked about. He talked about using her in the elective role,
Yes.
but also kind of as an interventionist too, where she's working with those beginners and newcomers and just
Pardon
giving
me,
them
interruption,
foundational
teachers.
language skills.
If
and
you
stuff.
are in the T building,
So we'll
you
have,
must turn in your board.
Part of the school day.
All of your
Yes,
electronic
we are in a school day, of course,
YouTube.
interruptions.
Teachers, this is just a reminder. Please do not turn in your stuff and leave it outside without me putting my eyes on it. I have 2 cards, 3 boards with no name on it. I don't know who it belongs to. So please come, check your stuff in so I'll know who you are. But if you just turn your laptop card in and I didn't lay my eyes on it, it will remain outside. Thank you.
Okay.
And besides that, one more thing we need to incorporate, we need to rotate our groups when we do the pull-out. We cannot do the long-term EB students also, we have to do the newcomers as well as the beginners.
Set set our goal for when we do pullouts, like what to do exactly. You know, not to have, like she said, rotate our groups. Take a list of students and constantly rotate them, but also have a minimum student, so like 10 or
Yeah.
you
Not
know,
more than 10.
Not
10
more
is
than
a
10.
good number.
Yeah, for small groups.
But I like that we are gonna have that ELA person, that elected
Right,
person,
right.
because I think we can work with her as well. Because like Miss Jarwal said about the speaking, a lot of our advanced high students, they scored very poor on speaking,
Exactly.
which did not let them exit out the program because the speaking was at a 2.
Exactly.
Which is an intermediate, and we know that they're not intermediates, but
Yeah.
it's because they didn't do it correctly. And I
Right.
think if they start from the beginning and practice it constantly, then they can have that practice and then be successful when it comes to tough maths.
Exactly.
That's what I talked about, technicalities, 49 seconds, you need to record, you need to go
Uh-huh.
fluently because it's not the human that's checking, it's the
Right.
AI that's
So actually
checking.
teaching them, and I
Yeah.
feel like we're I think that the STAR practice, the 12 class that we did this year during the lecture was fine, but like you said, the piece that was missing
Yes.
was us teaching them how to
Do it.
navigate through the tests.
Test,
Yeah.
right.
And then one more thing I just want to bring, I know that also we talked about this a lot, but just having EB talks with the students.
Right.
They need to be held accountable for their own data. It's like, hey, maybe now that we have their data from TELPAS, we can meet with those kids next year and say, hey, listen, you know, at the beginning of the year you were advanced. Let's get you advanced high by the end of by TELPAS.
Data talks.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe like have a little fold. They have their own folders to
Right.
go with their notebooks and stuff with
That's
their
true.
TELPAS data.
We can have that.
Yeah.
Not only the students, but the teachers also.
Oh,
the
yeah.
homeroom teachers
Yeah.
or the reading teachers.
Right.
Too. They need to be held accountable for that too.
And I feel like that's another thing. I feel like us as ELDs, I don't want the teachers to think that the EBs are our responsibility, because they're really not.
Exactly.
Our responsibility is the teacher.
They go on your data
And
too.
how are they implementing our sheltered instruction
Yeah.
strategies
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
classroom with fidelity, you know?
Yeah.
And not us being like always just the ones in charge of EBs.
Right.
Exactly. Oh, I totally agree with you on that. Just put it should be on everybody. It depends on everybody. And just something funny because I have a 6th grader that was a beginner, like new to the beginner, and the whole year she was silent because you know she was scared to speak out. You know, on the last day of school yesterday, she was leaving, and she said, "Bye, Miss Miles. Have a good summer."
Wow.
That was the most I've heard her talk all year
Yes.
long. So it's like, okay, if this student can do that, then
Anyone can do it.
anyone can do that.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that we're people that they're speaking more in class and in the pullouts. Yeah.
especially when they have those MRS strategies, read aloud, turn and talk,
Yes.
those kind of strategies. They need to participate in those
Right,
activities.
right. Just being very intentional with that progress monitoring piece that's on the spot. So make sure they're
Yes.
getting to those newcomers as well, and just giving them a chance to speak, even if it's one or two words. Giving them a chance to say something.
Right.
Well, team.
Well, also let's talk about forward planning.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So next year we have our forward planning spreadsheet. Also, we work with Ms. Williams, our multilingual coordinator from
Yes.
the district, and we have a lot of stuff already in the works. One of the things that we do need to also work on next year is working closely with admin, so they can also see the importance of this.
Yes.
And I think like with our TELPAS score this year, they're gonna notice that, hey, we do need to focus a lot more with our EBs. And
Especially during intervention when they stopped doing Submit K-12 totally and we went to Zone. And for a
Right.
few months we did not do Submit K-12.
so have everything already in place. So I know we're gonna have that meeting with them where we have to start planning our
Right.
calendar, so we can start implementing our PDs, we can start implementing our tests, because
Yeah.
our MOI, our BOI, our MOI, all that, have that in place already.
Yeah, and we're having an in-person meeting with them that first week back too. So that's something whatever we get new in that meeting, we can add to our calendar. I'm looking at it right now, and I like how we have it by week. This week we're going to be focusing on
Yes.
this, and so I like the intentionality of the calendar. And then we can revise and add stuff throughout the year too.
Right. But that's going to help us also if the elective person is doing Submit K-12 like we are using the NSV strategy the first week, and she can also do it in her class at that time. So that's intentional. What she will be doing, we have an alignment with that.
Right. Yeah.
Weekly basis.
Does the principal have a copy of our forward planning?
He does,
He does.
yes.
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
sure about
Yeah, okay. So that way we can when we talk to them, we can bring this up and say, hey, this is our plan, this is what we want to do. And be more, and everything we talked about in this meeting, bring it up with him. We want to be
Right.
more intentional in these areas.
Right.
All right, is there anything else on the agenda? We got forward planning, we talked about the data, district data, instructional considerations, forward planning, closure.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
that's
It was a
good.
good year. It was a good
Absolutely.
year.
A new role, new position.
New role, new position.
We did good.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I feel like we are at a good place for next year.
Right.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
I tell you, this was a year of learning and kind of getting the kinks out. I feel like we're going to be a lot stronger next year.
Next year,
A lot,
right.
yeah, a lot stronger.
So we're excited to see that.
All right, yeah, excited. All right.
Enjoy your summer now, everyone. Yeah, we have work to do.
Oh, Miss Darwa, I'm gonna share